Hey everybody, welcome to Live Coding with Jesse, and let me know if you can see the video and everything alright, if I'm actually moving, because something's wrong with my preview and it's frozen. So I don't know if it's just me or if it's happening for everybody. Okay, so I'm just going to wait a few seconds just to get confirmation as to whether or not my video... Okay, cool. Video must be cool. I figured it was me because I can't play any YouTube videos right now on my computer. I probably just need to restart my browser. That's happened before. Not frequently, but it has happened. Let's see. So today... I've decided to be really ambitious, and I'm going to try to set up GraphQL to work with WordPress, and I've never done that before. I've never worked with GraphQL at all before. So, but I know I want to learn how to do it. So we're gonna try it out. I've done a little bit of research about this earlier today. But most of my time's been taken up working on the Catechetical Institute website. That was project 1 that we did. Just minor updates though, and just some basic things. So figured that wasn't really worth putting on a stream. Alright, I got a lot of people in the live chat, so I'm going to say hi before we start coding. Hey everybody. Okay, Cowboy says there might be audio interference. Okay, let me know. Okay, Evo actually has a GraphQL API prototype. So yeah, definitely, I'd love to have that link. So send it. I mean, you can't really post links in the live chat, but you can direct message me on Twitter or whatever social media you're on that you want to message me on. That's cool. Let's see. Alright. Let's get started. I think a couple of things. Oh, for the last 2 streams, I forgot to thank some people who have submitted pull requests this past week. So I'm just going to do it right now so I don't forget, because I'm pretty sure I will forget again if I try to put it off. So I'm pretty sure I have those up here. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over those. You definitely can check them out yourself. You know, this isn't a private repo. So this is the Resource Center, Project 2. So we have, okay, we had 2. For some reason I thought we had more pull requests, but we have 2. Let me refresh just to be sure I'm not missing one. Alright, there we go. We have 3. That's what I thought. Okay, so Matt did fix some warnings. We'll just click into it briefly. So obviously you can read this if you want and check out what's changed. But when I had implemented Google Analytics, I had a lot of repetitive. The init function for Google Analytics was just had to put it in every component. So the way I did it was not the best way in terms of trying not to repeat myself a lot. So Matt cleaned that up, which is awesome. So also found a spot where I basically had 2 functions doing the exact same thing right next to each other, didn't even realize it. So he cleaned that up for me as well. And then Sebastian had 2 pull requests. So there was some stuff going on with our forms and just some warnings and things that got cleaned up. And also he noticed some UI things in Firefox, which I didn't. I did very minimal testing in Firefox I can't even remember how much testing I did in Firefox. It's entirely possible that I just didn't test it at all. So anyway, found some stuff in Firefox and fixed that. So really nice, little bit of CSS cleanup. And finally, this is some really cool stuff. So on Android, added in some information basically to let Android know how to display it, how to display the app. So I wonder, it's going to be hard to see this, so I'm going to try it out anyway. Let me see the screen. So up in, actually, let me make this, let me try to make this bigger for a minute. Let me see if I can. There we go. Alright, so right here we have our icon for the resource center, and I'm going to throw this into airplane mode. So it's in airplane mode right now. I don't know if you can see the airplane, but I'm going to click it. We get this screen. The glare's kind of rough on here, so I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Let me go to a darker screen, maybe to cut the glare. But anyway, the glare is really bad. But this is the resource center. It works. Like right now, I clicked on the logos page, and we're completely offline, which is awesome. So I don't know that anybody here at the university will ever even try that out because I don't know. I mean, we have the people at the university that still want us to like mail them things like on paper and have no interest in using the internet at all. Or a computer. So I don't know how many people will appreciate that, but I definitely appreciate it. Also, if you go there in Chrome, the bar at the top now is the Franciscan green color. So anyway, that was really cool. I checked it out and was showing people. I showed the guy that works in the office next to me, and I went home and showed my wife, and because I was super excited about it. So, alright. So anyway, thank you, Matt. Thanks, Sebastian. Those were awesome pull requests. I appreciate that. And now we're going to get started with some GraphQL. So let me go. Let's see where we're going to start with this. I'm going to go over to where we have our code for this project, but we're probably not going to put that much. Yeah, we're probably not going to do that much with this code today. What we're going to be doing is, trying to set up our WordPress to work with GraphQL. Let me get my Pomodoro clock going. So I'm going to do 25 minutes of coding, and then after that I'll take a 5-minute break. I'll go over the questions in the live chat. Then we'll do another 25-minute session. We'll do at least two 25-minute sessions. After that, we'll see how it's going. Maybe we'll do some more coding, or maybe we'll just do question and answer. But at least probably get in about an hour of code. Okay. Alright, so from what I've looked up so far, and if anybody has experience with this, put it in the live chat. I'll try to keep an eye on the live chat to see if anybody's putting in some advice for that. But from what I've seen so far, a few other people have worked on this, so we may not have to do this from scratch. It's entirely possible that we could just pull something from GitHub that'll get us started. So, oops, I didn't even start my timer. Alright, so I'm going to pull over some of the projects on GitHub that I've been looking at. I'll pull it over onto this screen just so you all can see what I'm thinking about using. So these are two really different approaches, and they're not, let's see. So like this one is actually actively maintained. This one not so much. But I know it's probably hard to see everything the way I have these windows up, but I'll just kind of briefly describe what's going on with these. This is more like configuring like an entire separate server to run GraphQL, and then it's going to pull data directly from the MySQL database using, I believe they're using Sequelize to help with that. Okay, so this one seems like it's a little bit more involved. This project seems to be more like a WordPress plugin. I haven't had time to read through all of it, but that's the impression that I got from the little bit that I did read. So it seems like of the two, the one on the left here, this what's it called, WP GraphQL, would probably be the one that's a bit more simple to work with. So I don't know. Let's let me give everyone just a minute or so. I want to know what you all think. If any of you have used either of these before, if you have any advice for me, or if there's something else out there that I'm not aware of that I should check out. So we'll give it a minute. Depending on what's said in the live chat, I may go with something else. But otherwise, I think I'll probably try this one out first because it's more up to date, and it seems like it'll be the quicker of the two. So while I'm waiting for the delay in the responses, I'm just going to explain briefly why I want to go with GraphQL and WordPress. So for this project in particular, we already have a lot of data in WordPress that I want to bring in. So that's why I'm doing WordPress. I don't want to migrate any of that data. The people that are in charge of putting that data in are already trained on how to do it in WordPress, so I don't want to mess up their workflow. Having said that, we've worked with the WordPress API in the past, and it definitely works. It works well, but GraphQL, because it will enable us to, in one API call, hit all the endpoints that we need, get all the data that we need, and only the data that we need, I think it would be a lot more efficient to do it that way. So that's why I want to switch to GraphQL. The other reason is, as I mentioned, right away in the stream, I really want to learn how to work with it and how to use it. I've talked before about all these smaller projects contributing to the larger project, which is redesigning the main university website. And one of the things that I would like to use for that website is GraphQL, because I don't want to have a lot of different API calls happening for every single page. So this is going to work up to that. So do we absolutely need GraphQL for this project? No, we don't. But if I don't have it, then this project would basically be pretty much the same as what we had done for project 1. So I'd hate to just have a repeat of that. We would have a few different things, but I think this will be better. It'll be better for me for learning, and then better for you all, I think, just to have some exposure to GraphQL if you don't already. All right, so enough time has gone by that the delay is dealt with now. So I'm going to check the live chat, and then we'll get started. Okay. Okay. So Ariel says, it seems like the one on the left is mostly PHP and the one on the right is JavaScript. Yeah, that was the impression that I got. I'm a little bit nervous about that. So this one is mostly PHP, and for this we're getting JavaScript. I'm a little nervous about that. because I'm definitely better at JavaScript than I am with PHP. So here's what we'll do. I'm going to scroll through just the basic setup options. And if a lot of it is confusing to me, then we'll just move on and maybe go with this. Because while I think this one will be faster to set up, if it's all in PHP and things that I don't understand, it won't be faster just because of my inexperience with it. Alright, so let's scroll a bit. Let's see. Alright. What did you see any setup instructions there? Am I missing something? Because I didn't I didn't see anything. What? Okay, that was it. Download and install like any WordPress plugin. Alright, well that's super easy. Okay. Well, that's worth a try. If we just have to install it like any WordPress plugin, then I'm fine with that. That's easy. So I think it's worth a shot to just install this plugin and see what it's like. If it doesn't work for what we're trying to do, we can go with something else. But otherwise, this is probably going to save a lot of time. And I'm just going to move this over to the other screen, but I want to keep this ready in case this other one doesn't work out. Okay, so where... I'm guessing the entire thing then gets installed. Alright, I will need a zip file for this, so let's download the zip. And then let's log into, we'll log into the same WordPress install that we're using for the content right now that we worked with yesterday. Alright, and that is just my site. We're going to use jesseweigel.com. And I'm not really actively updating this site anymore or using it for anything, so if this messes it up, I'm not really worried about it. That'll just be incentive for me to actually update it. Okay, I guess I'll pull this over so y'all can see. If you've never updated, let's make it bigger. Updated a plugin. So there are different ways you can add a plugin to WordPress. So one of the ways is through the admin panel here. You could also just access the files directly and then just drop your file into the plugins folder. So for right now, I think this will be the quickest way to do it. Where am I at? Plugins. We're going to add a new plugin. And 3.5 is available. Yeah, let's update that. Alright, now I don't want to update this right now. In case it messes up, I'm not worried about it. Alright, so we're going to upload a plugin. So we need it in zip format, so that's why I did the zip earlier. And where are we at? I guess I don't have it there. Downloads. Okay. Install. See how this goes. Cool. Let's activate the plugin. Where's it at? Cool. So we have our GraphQL API set up. I was looking to see if I have any extra options here. It doesn't look like it, so I guess there's no configuration screen or anything. Okay, now let's see about getting some data just to make sure it's working. I don't want to have to download a GraphQL desktop thing right now. There's got to be a website I can use. Does anybody know of a website I can go to quickly to test out GraphQL? Okay, let's see. Okay. So it's just going to be yoursite.com/GraphQL. Okay. Okay. Alright, I'm still trying to find a way to test this. There we go. I think I found a browser client. Oh, okay. Sorry, I wasn't checking out the live chat. I'm gonna test out some of the things you all mentioned in the live chat. Okay. Alright, so I'm not getting anything to work right now. I guess I could just go ahead and do this because electron reference GraphQL. Oh, okay, I can just install this with Homebrew, so let's do that because that's going to be easy. Or the Chrome extension. Yeah, the Chrome extension might be easier. Alright. Set endpoint. Let's see if it worked. Uh-oh. I don't think it did. Alright, so I don't think we're getting what we're supposed to be getting. So, yeah, the endpoint is supposed to be /GraphQL. Alright. Yeah, so we so we have docs. Alright, let's check out the docs then. Okay. Alright, we need to flush the permalinks. It would have been nice if they put that on the GitHub repo README. Alright, so settings permalinks. Let's flush your permalinks. Wordpress installs permalinks page. Settings, permalinks. Okay. Alright, so let's do that. Settings, permalinks. Alright. I think if I just flip the settings, that should work. Alright, let's try it again. Yep. Well, it's we got a different error. Alright, so let's see. What do I need? Let's see. Alright, so here's what I have now. So I need to put in a query, basically, which next step, I guess, is figure out how to do a query with GraphQL. So let's see. Oh, I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch a video. Oh, and there's no text that goes along with it. All right. Oh, okay. So we can add things with this. That's good. We'll have to use PHP. Okay. Okay, I see. Kevin says the font's pretty small, so I'll make sure I zoom in on things when we're doing it. Alright, this looks nice. Real basic. So it's what? Query. Okay. Alright, a few more minutes and we'll do the question and answer. Let's see. I'm not sure what this data is going to look like. So maybe, what was this one again? Let's just copy something. See what happens. I guess we don't need it, right? We'll paste that in. See what happens. Okay. Alright, let's try this example. The post. I need I really need to know what the what data I'm dealing with. I guess I will need to check this video. Once your GraphQL ready, you can point it at your site's GraphQL endpoint and browse documentation to start. Alright. I'm just going to watch enough of this to get, I don't know, the YouTube videos. Right, I said earlier, YouTube videos aren't playing. Alright, but actually this should be enough. Query post. Alright, let's just query post. So what was that? Query post. Alright, cool. Let's try that. Where are we at? See if this, oops, see if this works. No. Must have a sub selection. Alright, what's our sub selection? Those edges. Alright, let me move this over so I can type it out. Alright, so we're going to try to get some posts here. ID, date, not data, date. Alright, awesome. Okay, so here's what we put in here. Basically, we're asking for posts. As far as edges and node are concerned, I have no idea what that's talking about right now. It's just in the demo video, that's what they typed in. But then down here, I've just specified which items I wanted. So which pieces of data about the posts I wanted. So we should just get back these ones. So let's see what we did get back. Alright, so within posts, edges, I guess we're getting all these nodes, right? So we just got ID, date, title, and slug. Great. And then to compare, we had, I like to see side by side what we get from the REST API and then what we get from GraphQL. So let me find where we had this. Pretty sure I had it on this screen. Yep, here it is. Okay. So let me try to do my best to get these side by side. And my timer ran out, so we're going to take our 5-minute break as soon as we just see this side by side. So this is the same data for the most part between GraphQL on the left and the REST API on the right. You can see by default the REST API gives us everything. Right, so each one of these posts has all of this data. That was just one post. Over here, the same post is this. Right, so by default, basically there is no default. It's whatever we ask for. So we've been able to get exactly what we want based on a query like this. So you could see a lot less data. Now, in previous projects, we have found ways to cut down on this data, but whenever we tried to limit our API calls, then we couldn't filter out our data like we wanted. So there wasn't a good way to both use only one API call per page and limit the data we're getting for each API call. So that was the dilemma that we faced in Project 2. And we ended up going with using one API call even though we were pulling in more data than we needed to. So with GraphQL, we shouldn't have to make that decision. We should be able to do both. Use one API call and at the same time get only the data that we need. Alright, so let me start my 5-minute timer. We're going to do question and answers for 5 minutes, and then we'll go back and do another 25 minutes of coding. At this point, it's really, we have a GraphQL API up and running, so we're going to move back to our React project and try to pull that data in. And we want to get that into our Redux store. So let me find the live chat. And I'm going to scroll up. And let's see. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. There's a lot of messages coming over my Slack at work. I don't think any of them are super important for me. I just want to glance just to make sure. Okay. I'm the only person that really has access and knows about some of our sites that are kind of important, so that's why I glance at that, because if an emergency happened, I would probably be the only person that could fix it. Also, here's a fun fact. I learned on Slack, or right before the stream started, that the person who works in the office right next to me used to hang out with a member of the Wu-Tang Clan. So he's now the coolest person I know. I don't know if we have any Wu-Tang fans in here, but I thought that was kind of cool. Okay. Alright, I'm trying to find the questions. There's quite a bit in the live chat today. Oh, okay. So we had a question about, did you fix the Slack link? I can't find it in the description. All right. I'm glad you brought that up because I completely forgot about it. I removed the Slack link from the description because basically it didn't work. So I have no idea where that original link came from. It says that link expired and we need to get a new link. But I don't know how to get that link from Slack. So if anybody is more familiar with Slack, or whoever got that original link, if you're watching right now, I don't know, let me know how I can get another link, if that's even possible. The other alternative, I guess, would be manually sending out invites. So I guess I could say, anybody that wants into the Slack channel, let me know. And then I can just send you an invite based on your email address. So you just have to give me your email address through whatever channel you want to give that to me, and I can invite you. I mean, that method will work for sure, but it would definitely be more convenient for everyone if we could get the link working. So that's where the Slack link situation is at right now. Okay. Also, I didn't start our server, our ngrok server. I'm going to do that right now. So since we're going to be working with the React app now, you all can go in there. Let me post the URL. Okay. So that's posted in the live chat now. So if you want to go there, we haven't done anything with it yet, but we will be working with it soon. So if you want to go there, you can check it out. Not much there at this point. Let's see. Okay, it looks like some of you were talking about the progressive web app to the last project that I demoed at the beginning on my phone there, the Resource Center. Yeah, so Create React App comes with a service worker, and that's basically what allows it to operate like that, a progressive web app. So, so you would want your app to have some functionality even offline, and then as you get a better connection, it progressively has more capabilities. So for instance, obviously offline you can't submit the form, but if you're offline you could still read all the content. So you have this core functionality in your app that always works in your web page, that will work no matter what. So that's the idea of a progressive web app. Although I was thinking, I'm probably not going to do it right now, but it's possible that we could get the form data and save the form data until we did have an internet connection, and then send it at that point. So I've seen similar things done before. Like I said, I don't know that anybody is going to be using it like that and using it offline. So I don't know that it's a good use of my time here at work, but it would be kind of a cool thing to do on the side, just to get it working. So we would need to store that data, maybe in local storage. I don't know. We'd store that data and then just try to detect whenever we got a network connection, and then send it at that point. Okay, Rohan said try Visor. You can mirror your phone on your desktop. I actually do have Visor installed. I hadn't even planned on showing that, so I didn't have it ready. But I'll remember next time if I'm planning on doing something on my phone. I'll have a better setup. Marco says, so Create React App automatically makes the basic progressive web app? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so by default, Create React App is is progressive web app. Depending on how you build it, I'm sure you could make it better or worse at being a progressive web app. But the Resource Center is actually not bad. Like I said, the forms obviously don't work. It seems like some of the images and everything were still on there. So that was pretty cool that worked. Oh, excuse me, yawning. So yeah, some of the images worked. I think it just depended on what actually got loaded before I put it on airplane mode. So I was able to load the logos, but I didn't get some of the images from the other pages. Okay. Alright, so my 5 minutes is up. I don't know how long it's been up for. I just checked. So I'm still not getting the beeping in my headphones when that's up. So I don't know what the problem is. I probably just need to restart my my browser. It's been quite a while since I've done that. So let me mark down where I left off at in the live chat. Okay. All right, so another 25-minute session, and then after that, we'll see if we're gonna code more. And I forgot that I had covered this up again, so let me move that up. There we go. I just assumed you all could see the timer. I keep forgetting that my face is in that corner. Okay, let's move this out of the way. Well, I guess we have this here, so we'll keep this here. Now, here's what we need to do. So we need some way to bring in this GraphQL data. So from what I understand, a lot of people use something called Apollo to make it easier to work with data. Let me know if Apollo is suitable for this, if you know of something better. Otherwise, I'm going to try to install Apollo now and get that working. Oh, okay, so Harshit says React Apollo and Relay. So do I use Relay with Apollo, or is it I could use either Relay or Apollo? I have React Apollo up on GitHub right now. Okay, so it's either Relay or Apollo. Helio thinks Apollo is the easiest to start working with. Okay, all right, cool. Let's start with Apollo. Has anybody had experience using Apollo with Redux? Should I even be worried about that, or should I use something else? Okay, so Helio does have experience with using Apollo and Redux. Okay, cool. right, so let's install Apollo. Let me find my my terminal. Where am I at? There we go. Okay. So I just had the GitHub page open. What do I do with it? Alright, so we're going to do yarn add Apollo, or React Apollo, sorry. I'm interested in seeing what you all think. Do you like it better when we do streams like this where I'm completely clueless and we work our way through it together? Or do you like it better when I have a better idea of what I'm doing and it's more like me getting everything done and just kind of narrating what I'm doing? It doesn't have to be either or. We can always have a mix of the different types of streams, but if it's like overwhelming that you all like or don't like one or the other, then I'll keep that in mind. Okay, cool. So we have this, and let's see. I'll bring this over here. So this is what I'm looking at right now. So it looks like we need to wrap our root component in this Apollo. Okay. All right, great. Let's see. React component. This component works almost the same as provider component React Redux. In fact, you pass a store prop into Apollo provider. It will also serve as provider for React Redux. Okay, great. So it looks like we can replace our provider component with Apollo provider, and it should work fine with what we have set up with Redux anyway. Cool. So I'm going to move this over to the other screen, and let's hook this up. Let's go into our app, and well, first things first, let's import what we need to import. So where are we at? Here, let's import Apollo. Apollo client. React Apollo. And then new. If you want to follow along with these instructions, I'm just on the React Apollo GitHub repository. Okay. Alright, so we made a new Apollo client, and now let's give it some instructions here. Network interface. Okay, so here's where we'll put in the route to our GraphQL, our demo that we just set up. Okay, so obviously if you're doing this on your project, you'd want to put in whatever yours is, or if you want to use mine as an example just to get started, I don't really care. You can do that as well. Okay, great. Now let's hook this in to our provider. So our provider is now going to be our Apollo provider, and we need to add in a client that we just made. up there. And client, we're passing the client. And then since we're going to pass in store as well, based on the documentation, it seems like that will still work with what we're trying to do with Redux. So let me save that. And alright, well, first thing, let's just make sure we don't have any errors. Oh, and we do have errors. Polo provider is not defined. Did we forget to do this? I guess we probably forgot to import it. Yep, we did forget to import it. Create network interface is not defined either. Oh, I forgot to import that too. I don't know what I was thinking. It's right there in the documentation. I just didn't see it. Okay, cool. So obviously we're not seeing any difference, but we're not getting any errors. So now we can move on to the next step. Okay. Alright, so let me bring this back over for just for a minute. So we can, at this point, pull in, or we can connect GraphQL into our components. But I don't think that's what we want to do. I'm thinking that instead... Sorry. Instead, we would want the data to go into our store and then to go into our components from the store. So I guess that's what we need to figure out how to do. So let me bring up the complete reference. And I'm just scanning really quickly just to see if there's okay. Okay, so here's everything. Let's see if they have anything specifically on Redux, integrating with Redux. Awesome. Okay. So we've already connected the store, which, yep, connect the store. And there we go. This is what we need. This is really small. So let me zoom in. Okay, so we're gonna use connect still. Let's see how they say to do this. For GraphQL. Okay. I guess we could try putting some of this in our component. Now, I'm not 100% sure this is what I was thinking that we would do, but let's at least give it a shot just to confirm that we've hooked everything up properly. See if we can get some data to display. So I wish I could see what the actions were. Redux and GraphQL. Alright, this is not using Apollo. Let me close this out. I think I want another example. So let's go. Alright, let's renew. Alright. Actually, it looks like they're replacing Redux with Apollo. That's not what we want to do. Yeah, I don't want to do that. This might not be up to date. Okay, this is actually more, it looks like it's more like what I want to do. Okay, that wasn't super helpful, but a better idea. Okay, let me check the time. Alright, 8 minutes. Let's see if we can get something to display in 8 minutes. Alright, let me move this off to the side so I can reference it. Let's go back here to our home component. And let's bring in, I'm going to do some copy and pasting just to save time instead of typing it out. Bring in GraphQL and let's see. Hmm. All right, I'm a little bit. I'm not confident that I can get something to display in what is it, 6 minutes now? Okay. So let's at least just think this out. Maybe throw some comments in so we can start from the same point tomorrow. Um, I know that the example that I saw in the documentation had them importing GraphQL here, but realistically, I was thinking more along the lines of, I guess, having GraphQL in here, really, or I'm sorry, not in, where am I looking? More like in something like this, so that when we dispatch an action, then instead of making the API call to the REST API, it would grab the data from the GraphQL API, which would then get stored in the Redux store. Now, it seems like that's not really how Apollo works. If that's the case, then I think I need to do some tutorials on Apollo just to get an idea of how that works, and see how I should be using it. If for anybody that has worked with Apollo, if I'm mistaken here, please let me know. But I was kind of assuming that basically Apollo would just let me do the same thing that I'm doing here with fetch, but for GraphQL. I guess what I need to do then is look at querying from within a React component. At the very least, we can just test it. This is okay, cool. So Harshit has linked something that will hopefully be useful. Let's see. Alright. Choose 348. Okay. let's bring this over then, and this will be the last thing that we do. We actually got farther than I thought that we would. I thought it was going to be a lot harder to get GraphQL working with WordPress, but that was a nice surprise that it was that easy. Okay, trying to figure the rest. Okay, yeah, that's definitely what we were trying to do. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. It seems like basically, well, I'm getting two important things out of this. One is that the data, even if I grab the data when a component loads instead of doing it like where we're doing a fetch right now, the data will still be available in Redux under apollo.data in the Redux store. But the second thing is, since we're going to have a search bar, I want to have a live search. This is also going to come into play. In that, how would we do how would we fire off an API call based on a user action? So this we'll probably have to do something like this as well. Okay. All right, thanks for that link, Harshit. That does clear things up. So probably tomorrow we'll be working on that more. Okay, let's see what time it is. All right, so I think we'll probably just be at we'll go into the question and answer now. I was thinking about doing another Pomodoro session, but at this point, I think I want to read up a little bit more on things. I don't think it would be a great stream because I'd be doing a lot of reading, and that's not really nice to watch. So if you can stick around and for the question and answer session and help answer questions, that would be awesome. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I should be back tomorrow. I might stream a little bit earlier than normal tomorrow, so I'll let you all know on Twitter, and I'll schedule the stream so you'll get a notification if you're subscribed to the freeCodeCamp channel about what time I'll stream. Let's see. Let me go. I'm going to go back to the live chat here and try to answer as many questions as I can. Okay, here's some questions here. Blake says, I'm trying to send data from a form to Google Sheets, and I found an article on Medium on how to do that, but I don't know how to set up the last script. Any help would be great. Yeah, let's take from form to Google Sheets. Actually, have we done that on a stream? What was the first project? No, we didn't do that yet. Okay, so I've done that in previous projects, but it was before I started streaming. So, what are you using React or just regular JavaScript? It doesn't really matter that much. It's pretty much the same either way in terms of making the call, either with Ajax or with Fetch or whatever you're using. So, Blake, if you have the code for that on GitHub, or if you can share it somehow, share it with me. I'll take a look at it, and maybe I can also send you how I've done it before. Maybe that'll help. Let's see. Alright, not really a lot of questions, a lot of discussion, so I keep scrolling trying to find a question. Okay, let me... Where do we put that? This is it. Oh, here it was. Okay, there's no schema. Alright, so I was checking out, Evo says if we go to docs, it should say, it should talk about what fields there are, but it seems like there's nothing available there. So anyway, I'll have to keep that in mind. Maybe there's something I need to set up to populate this. Rohan said try, so I mentioned earlier I couldn't play YouTube videos on my browser right now. Rohan says try clearing the cache just for YouTube. I tried it, it did not work, so I think I'll actually need to turn off my browser and turn it back on. It just sounds silly to say that, like that's the answer. Just restart it, it'll work. But it'll probably work. This did happen before, and that was the fix. Rishab says, can we expect something about subscriptions in GraphQL? I don't know. I don't know yet. Like I said, I'm very, very new in learning GraphQL, like, as I'm streaming. So I don't know what we can expect with GraphQL, but any cool stuff that would be helpful for this project, I'm definitely open to learning and using on this project. Oh, cool. John Hansen says, I had wondered how this would work. Thanks, Jesse, for your work through to get this better than any how-to video. Cool. Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you said that because sometimes I wonder how helpful these videos are for actually learning things. So I appreciate that. Vacation says, by the way, I'm a fan, not a fan. I'm not exactly sure what you're trying to say, but I'll just take it as you're a fan of the stream, and thank you. Thanks for watching. Kevin says the 4 benefits of social media marketing. Number 3 will blow your mind. I don't even remember what that is. Now I want to know. Where's my site? Oh, actually, my wife wrote this one. Let's see. Positive feedback. Cool. Yeah. I had big plans for my website, but then I got clients and I didn't have time, and so I just never updated it again. So we only ended up with 2 blog posts, and I only wrote one of the 2. Okay, so Ganesh says, I know this is not a place for asking about something like this, but wanted to know something about API. Do you know any way to send commands from an Android app using Java to a Raspberry Pi using Python through an API? I don't know. I mean, certainly, I don't think this is the wrong place to ask those questions because we get a lot of different people with different skill sets that are in the live chat. So I think any question is fair game because someone might be watching that has worked with that. I personally have never worked with that type of thing, so I'm not sure. Yeah. I mean, this is definitely avoiding the question, and I don't think this will work in your situation. But if it was me and I was doing it, I would just build the Android app in React Native, and then I would use JavaScript for the Raspberry Pi. I would use Node, and then that way I would know what I was doing a little bit more because it would all be JavaScript. But yeah, I really don't know. So sorry about that. Sorry I couldn't help you, but don't feel bad about asking questions like that. Feel free to ask anything. Let's see. Vacation says, can't we use Rails? You could certainly use Rails. I'm not going to use Rails for this project. I probably won't be using Rails for any of the projects that I'm doing for work, but I'm sure a lot of what I'm doing could be integrated with something that you're making with Rails. Oh, cool. So Ariel says, guys, I found something amazing, wordexpress.io. This project aims to replace PHP with JavaScript and WordPress development by using Node.js and Express to consume data from a WordPress database using GraphQL. It uses Apollo to fetch the data. That's really cool. I mean, that's a lot of what we were trying to do. That sounds awesome. To fetch the data and deliver it into React components. Cool. Okay, so I had asked earlier whether or not you all preferred the type of stream, like either like we had today, where I go into the stream just really clueless about how to do a thing, and then we just work through it and learn together and try to see what we can do, or the type of stream where I pretty much know what I'm doing. I've already done it before, and so I just kind of go through it and explain what I'm doing, but there's not as much guesswork and learning as we go. And it looks like some of you definitely like to see me work through things and troubleshoot and debug, so that's awesome. It seems like okay, seems like Harshit said when I do have an idea that I know, I get more done. Yeah, that's true. So I think probably what I'll end up doing is still having a mix. Kevin says I like both. Let's see. Zubair says this is super fine. Your streams are better. Your mistakes make us perfect. Cool. That was the whole point, right? If I make the mistake and you see me do it, then you won't have to make the mistake and learn from it because you've already seen me do it. So, all right, cool. So it seems like you all would like a mix. So I'll try to keep in mind and have a mix. I mean, a lot of what I do on the stream just depends on what I have to do for work anyway. So I only have just a certain range of options to choose from each day to do a stream on. But I'll try to keep a nice mix and do both. So we'll be kind of adventurous sometimes in the streams and try new things like today. And then other times you all know when you're building something, there's sometimes when you just have to do a thing that you've done 100 times before, but it has to be done. So we'll still have some things like that for every stream, like setting up for every project. Setting up the server, right? You got to set up a server for every project, so that's not really a big thing. Setting up your dev environment, just like basic CSS stuff, layout. We'll do that as well. Harshit says enjoying the live reloading in ngrok. Cool. I'm glad you enjoy it. Didn't really do that much with it, but it'll be really cool once we start putting in UI elements and being able to instantly see that feedback and inspect it in DevTools, see what's happening with the store. I think it'll be really, really cool. And I know I said this before, but it was a long time ago. I definitely want to give a shout out to the people at ngrok. I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy who I guess made ngrok, he's letting us use it unlimited for free. So normally to be able to have this many users on ngrok at once, it would cost money, but we're able to do it for free. So he's doing that for freeCodeCamp for these streams, so I really appreciate that. Let's see. Vacation asks, what are you making? Harsha did say a bulletin for the university. Yeah, so basically it's just going to pull in posts from WordPress and then display those posts, and it's going to have infinite scroll for the posts, and you'll be able to sort the post by date, filter by category. So you'll be able to submit your own posts. Now they won't automatically be there. They'll go to somebody to review first before they get put into the bulletin. So that's pretty much it. Just display images, YouTube embeds, and text, and then allow users to submit a form. So it's not going to be really complicated. Now I will tell you this, if we have time, I would love to maybe add in some extra features. So users have to sign in, so they'll have an account, right? So based on that account, we could save user preferences. So we could save preferences for how they like the UI to look. We have several different options for the UI. So we could save their preferences. We could save preferences for, I don't know what categories they want to see at the top of the page. Maybe give them the ability to star certain announcements or bookmark them so that they can see things it would be maybe cool to have desktop notifications when new things are available. So there's a lot of extra stuff that I've thought about doing and I haven't done yet. So this could be a lot more complex. It just kind of depends on what other projects I have going on and how, what the deadlines are like. If there's anything really high priority, I'll have to do that instead. So I can't guarantee that we'll do stuff like that, but I would really like to do some stuff like that if possible. Let's see. Brett says, I learned GraphQL while giving my daughter a bath and getting her fed. Amazing. That is pretty amazing. Cool. Actually, I forgot. Today is my youngest daughter's birthday. She turned 1 today. So I'm really excited about that. She's my youngest, and she's so cute. And she's also my last because my wife can't have kids anymore. So I just spoil her because she's my last little baby. So I can't believe she's already 1. But yeah, actually, I want to make sure I get out of here somewhat soon so that I can go home and hang out with her. Let's see. Maxime says, who used GraphQL and Meteor? I don't know. Has anybody used GraphQL and Meteor? I'm really interested in Meteor. I've seen some cool demos of things people have done with it, and I know it's been around for a while. Is it still relevant? Is it worth it to learn it, or is there something newer that people are moving to? If it's still relevant, then I'm definitely interested in learning how to use it and doing a project with it. Okay, cool. So Harshit says I can get rid of the actions that I'm using now in this app. So like right now we're dispatching actions to get our data. I can get rid of that and instead use GraphQL queries to basically accomplish the same thing. That's cool. That should simplify our code quite a bit. Brett said, so would we eliminate Redux? Actually, that's a good question. Should we eliminate Redux, or do we still want to use them together? I mean, I definitely still would love to have data in the store to be available, but yeah, I don't know. If anybody has any opinions on that, please let me know. Okay. Let's see. John Hansen says, wow, I'd love to ask a question about adding event listeners when components are there and then not, then there again. Think I've got it, but whoa. Okay, yeah, cool. Let me know how that goes and if you need help with that. Event listeners. Yeah, so if you're using it in React with event listeners, I mean, normally when I have like things that I would normally use jQuery for within event listeners with, when I'm doing it with React, I just make sure the state changes when an action happens, and then the components will, re-render and everything will be taken care of. So, you could just put like an on-click attribute onto the component or the button, or whatever has to happen, or I don't know I don't remember what they all are, but for a lot of the events that you would normally use, like that you would want to do, usually you can just add it as an attribute and then change the state based on when that happens. Okay, Harshit says, is Redux compulsory for this project? Actually, no, not really. Well, to be honest with you, I didn't expect to use GraphQL until today. I decided today we were going to use it. So at first I thought we were just going to do Redux with the WordPress REST API, which is what we were doing yesterday. So I'm open to reevaluating whether or not we should even use Redux on this project now that we're using GraphQL. So maybe I'll have to do some research on that and think about that. Maybe we don't need it. I mean, there's definitely some other pieces of data, parts of the state that we won't make API calls to get, but it would still be nice if it was available in the store. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But if we don't need to keep it and we can simplify things, then I guess, you know, maybe it's not. There's not really a good reason to use Redux. Okay, so Blake, I just saw your link. So I'm putting that in my address bar on my other screen right now. Okay, so I'll have to take a look at that maybe after the stream, maybe tomorrow, because I do want to leave shortly after the stream ends. So, but I'll leave that up on my screen so I don't forget. Coder Jim says, I learned a lot from your videos. The problem is only that I don't have enough time to keep up to date with you. Yeah, sometimes I wonder about that too. Like I just put out a lot of content since we're streaming. I mean, we do at least an hour every day, usually closer to 2 hours. 5 days a week. Not always 5 days a week, but that's what I shoot for. I know that's a lot. So I don't know. It just takes a lot of. My idea is that maybe I would categorize the content better, have better descriptions, and like timestamps of when I go over certain topics to help you all to be able to sift through the material and skip what you don't need. It's just there's so much of it. I just don't have time to do all that yet. But I mean, I definitely understand it's a lot to work through. So. For those of you who are doing it and keeping up with it, that's awesome. But anyway, thanks for watching. Even if you can't watch everything, I appreciate even whatever you all can watch. That's awesome. Harshit says, going to sleep now. It's 1 a.m. All right, good night. Thanks for watching. Okay, thanks everyone for saying happy birthday. My daughter's name is Cordelia, so we named her Cordelia Elizabeth, and yeah, she's 1 today. Okay, cool. So yeah, so Blake says I see. All right, cool, Blake. I will check that out. Like I said, either today or tomorrow, and figure out how to get that Google, that link to the Google Sheet working. Okay, Brett says React definitely overshadowed Meteor. Okay. Alright, Harshit says we'll make a pool with auth system. You need regular email and password as the method. Actually, maybe did I miss something? Oh, okay. So maybe I missed. It seems like, well, Harshit's probably asleep right now. So if you're still awake and you're watching, you can hear this. I guess that's cool with the pull request. I'm not exactly sure what is what you mean about the regular email and password. So anyway, send me a message on Twitter or something. Let me know. Okay. In my plans, yeah. So for the login, right now, it's a passwordless login system. So a user goes to the bulletin and they're prompted to put their email in, and it has to be an email that ends with @franciscan.edu. If it is that kind of email, then the system right now it's using Auth0, which handles keeping track of all the users and everything. But they get sent at their email a link. They click the link, it logs them in, and it stores their login credentials in local storage, and they stay logged in on that browser for about a year unless they clear their local storage. So that's the current system. So if we go with a new system, I still would like to keep it so that users with a Franciscan email address could still do the passwordless login thing. I think that's best. That way users don't have to worry about passwords. I don't have to worry about passwords. Then at some point down the road, I would love to tie it into our single sign-on system here at the university, which they haven't launched it yet. So that's why I'm not trying to tie it in right away, because it's not ready. But I'll need some more information about how to tie that in. I'm not even sure how they're implementing it. It's a totally different department is handling it. So we'll see how that goes. But that's basically what I would like is a passwordless system sending email links. All right. So I've gotten to the bottom of the live chat. Hopefully I didn't miss anyone's questions. I will be back tomorrow. Like I said, tomorrow maybe around like 1 or 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. So a little bit earlier than normal. But thank you all for watching and for helping me get through kind of a challenging stream, because it was all new, new techniques, new technologies that I haven't used before. So anyway, thanks again for watching and for contributing in the live chat. I will be back. Oh, someone asked what my Twitter was. It's in the description for the video. It's at Jesse R. Weigel, but it's in the description too if you want the link. Okay. So anyway, yeah, thanks, and I'll be back tomorrow. And until then, have a great day.